Hello and welcome to Cat Scan. My name is Adam Green. I'm here to talk about the Arizona Wildcats, which is what I do every single week. You know, the Cats are no longer in the top 25 because of a pretty rough game in Oregon. They lost 49-0, but the weird thing is the final score doesn't really tell the whole story because the game was not as close as I'm trying to indicate the score didn't indicate. What does that mean? Well, you got to remember the Wildcats did go toe-to-toe with the Ducks in the first half. They allowed just 13 points in the first 30 minutes of football, giving themselves a chance to win this one with surprisingly good defensive effort. They came up with 3 turnovers and things were looking pretty good until the offense got on the field. Because we all know it's tough to win at Autzen Stadium, but especially tough to win when you make as many mistakes as Arizona did offensively. Their first 5 drives all took the Cats into Oregon territory, but they came up with 0 points. 2 fumbles, an interception, a pair of botched field goals. I'm not saying Arizona would have won the game had they scored, but they would have made things interesting and certainly different. In all, the Cats went 0 for 6 in the red zone. They ain't going to get it done, folks, especially against a team like the Oregon Ducks. But you have to remember, while no loss is a good thing, and I'm not trying to tell you this one is in any different from any other loss, but it is hardly the end of the world for this Wildcats team. So throw this loss away, move on, because going into this season, no one would have penciled the Oregon game as a win. So losing it shouldn't really change the outlook. A 3-1 start is still better than anyone would have expected. So don't let the first loss change your mindset going forward. Unless, of course, you felt the Wildcats were headed for the Rose Bowl, but that's on you, not them. Now, don't get me wrong. The Wildcats are not a bad football team. They're clearly not on Oregon's level. Few teams are in the Pac-12. Few teams are in the country. They're number 2 for a reason. It'll take time for the Wildcats to reach that point. So, going forward, Arizona coach Rich Rodriguez knows there are things his team has to fix as they prepare for their next game, which is against Oregon State.
Some of the problems we have didn't happen overnight, won't be solved overnight. Some of them may take a little while longer, but some of them can be easily correctable. If we, again, just focus on our fundamentals.
What Rich Rodriguez is saying is he knows his team isn't supremely talented. He said before that they have to be nearly perfect to win, and they were far from that Saturday in Eugene. But they do get another crack at the state of Oregon as they host the 18th-ranked Beavers this weekend in Tucson. Now, remember, Oregon State comes to town with a 2-0 record after impressive wins over Wisconsin and UCLA, both of whom were ranked at the time of Oregon State beating them. Oregon State coach Mike Riley is 7-2 against the Wildcats since 2003, which is when he returned after a fling with the NFL. Arizona's last win against the Beavers, 2009, so to say they have their number would be a bit of an understatement. Riley and the Beavers do come to town with sophomore quarterback Sean Mannion playing well. He's thrown for 267 yards and 2 touchdowns against Arizona before last year in a win that they had over the Cats. And he's completed 65% of his passes for 655 yards and 3 touchdowns this season. He's been picked off just 1 time, so he's playing good football for the Beavers. With the good passing game has come a lack of a running game for the Beavers. Freshman Storm Woods leads the team with just 132 yards and 1 touchdown on 30 carries, so they don't give him the rock much at all. But because of that, receivers Brandon Cooks and Marcus Whedon have stepped up. Cooks leads the team with 255 yards receiving and is averaging a ridiculous 21.3 yards per catch, and he's already scored twice this season. Whereas Whedon, who's a senior from Chandler, Arizona, leads the team with 17 receptions on the year. So they have the deep guy, they have the underneath guy, they get the job done in the passing game. For the Wildcats in this game, offensively, the greatest concern is Matt Scott. The quarterback got dinged up against Oregon. He missed a few plays at the end of the first quarter with a hip injury. And after that, he didn't really run the ball at all. You take the threat of the run away from Arizona, and their offense isn't nearly as effective as we saw when he completed just half his passes for a season-low 210 yards and 3 picks in the game. Matt Scott must run if Matt Scott's going to play well. And what this kind of signifies is we knew going into this season the team would very likely live and die with Matt Scott. And he'll have his hands full with an Oregon State defense that has already racked up 5 sacks in just 2 games this season. So what the Wildcats have to do is establish the running game again with Kadeem Carey. They struggled in Oregon, but they did well the first 3 games of the year. But more than that, they have to play clean football. They cannot turn the ball over. They have to take advantage of their opportunities. This isn't Toledo where they're able to make mistakes and win, and it's not Oregon where they can't make any mistakes and not win, but they have to play a good game. Because it's one of those 50-50 games on the schedule that'll make a big difference when we go back and judge this season. Oregon State is tough, but this is a home game against a team that we think, or at least we want to think, is on the same level as the Wildcats right now. So for the Wildcats, this is a big one. But it's so big that they're going to unveil the new copper helmets. Are you excited? I know I am. But even more than that, I'm excited for a win for the Wildcats. They get this one 34-23. That's going to do it for this edition of Cat Scan. For more Arizona Wildcats thoughts, you can listen to the podcast I co-host with Jared Carlin called Bearing Down, or you can follow me on the Twitter @TheAdamGreen. But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again right here next week on ArizonaSports.com.